Welcome back to the SAOR Method. Today's guest is someone whose story perfectly represents resilience, leadership, and what can happen when somebody fully commits to the process. Connery is a station officer at Perth Airport in Australia, leading teams in one of the highest pressure working environments imaginable, but also building multiple successful health and fitness businesses alongside his wife and family. Adam first connected with Sarah around 18 months ago during a really difficult period in business. Pressure was enormous, the business was struggling, and the family home was genuinely on the line. But instead of folding, Adam rebuilt. Through structure, leadership, consistency, and relentless follow through, he completely turned things around. Since then, he's gone on to acquire a second studio, which has already doubled revenue in just a few months and become a highly profitable business. This conversation dives into leadership under pressure, balancing career, family, and business, and the lessons the emergency services can teach entrepreneurs, and why execution always beats excuses. Adam is humble, incredibly thoughtful, and one of the best examples of calm leadership you'll come across. Let's get into it. Adam, welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us on the SAOR Method podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. I'm great. I'm really, really good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me too. This is very cool. Very, very cool.
Pleasure. And first podcast, we'll just get that out there. All right. First podcast you've been on, but well able to chat, I'm sure, given not only your background, your day job, but also being in business. So look, what I like to ask people before we dive into the nitty gritty of you being a dad and a fireman and owning businesses and all these things that you got going on in your life, why the fitness industry? What dragged you towards having a business in the fitness industry as opposed to clothes?
Cool. That's a really good question. So I've spent the best part of the last 15 years, my career as a professional firefighter, helping people. And when myself and my wife decided to buy a business, we wanted an extension of that. We wanted something which allowed us to directly help people. I didn't want to just go and sell burgers. I didn't want to sell food, things that make people fat and unfit. I'm not interested in. I'm there to save people. Therefore, if I can help someone, I'm going to. So my first business in the fitness industry was a direct extension of that help. So the business specifically deals with mobility. It's been proven that mobility can extend your person's life. And so I get to not only run a business, but also help people to live a better life. So really easy answer.
And does fitness play a big part in your life, or has it always played a part, or is it something in the recent years?
No, always. So I out of school, in school, I played rugby. I was part of the rugby squad, captain of the rugby team, played that for 5 years. Left that, got into the military in a high operator role. Got out of that, became a career ski and snowboard instructor. Did that all over the world. Professional helicopter ski guide, did that for 12 months. From there, got into mining. I did that for a couple of years. Daughter came along, decided that I need something stable and consistent and a career. And my stepdad was a firefighter, and I really, I knew all about firefighting. I really liked the career. I knew what happens in the career, and I was like, yep, I want to do that. And so I put my mind to that and targeted that. And within inside of sort of 6 to 9 months, I was a firefighter. So fitness as a firefighter is one of the super important parts. You have to be fit, you have to be strong, you've got to be both mentally and physically capable. So it's always been a part. Outside of that, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That keeps me fit, is also a great stress relief, and I'll go into that later if you want. So just always part of my life, really.
I want to go back there for a second, because there's something you said that I don't even understand. Did you say a helicopter snowboard? Take me through what was that?
Yeah, a helicopter ski guide. So okay. I'm the guy who gets in the helicopter with you. The pilot takes us up to the top of a very large hill. We all get out, and then I would guide you down the mountain safely to make sure that you can do the very top of the mountains in Alaska all the way to the bottom without dying.
That sounds absolutely crazy. Would I be bold in saying there's a hint of adrenaline junkie inbuilt
little
in
bit.
you.
Yeah, pretty much, predominantly, yes. So I was as I said, a career ski and snowboard instructor for about 4 or 5 years, and for about 12 months or a season, I went over to Alaska and worked with Alaska helicopter ski guides, I believe the name was. Yeah, I've ridden with some of the
Wow,
best
that's
ski and
very
snowboard
different.
guys on the planet. Yeah, it was incredible experience. I lived in a shed in the middle of Haines, Alaska, which is about a 45-minute drive from the closest town. We had to have a fire on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or else the water pipes would freeze. It's like minus 40 Celsius outside. It was, insane. We had, bear spray and a machete next to the door in case the bears came around. And, I spoke to a guy over there in Alaska, and I was like, oh, so what do you do with the bears? And he goes, well, you shoot it. I'm like, cool. But I'm an Aussie in Alaska who doesn't have a gun. And he goes, run really fast. I'm just like, yeah, righto. It was great.
That's fair.
It was phenomenal. Like, I spent about 3 or 4 months in Alaska. It was absolutely amazing.
How did an Aussie manage that level of cold? Can I ask? Because I know that
I
it's
love
not
it.
the warmest climates.
No, especially coming from Perth, right? Like 45-degree days. I love it. Like, I really love it. You can always put more clothes on. You can't take more clothes off. I absolutely froth in the snow. My dad's English, my mum's Scottish, so I've got a bit of that heritage in me as it is. The family's Irish, so being cold is, part of my genes, I guess.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, well, look, as a Wim Hof Method instructor and avid cold water explorer, I'll say that appeals to me massively. So I get it. So take us from there, then. Like going through all this fast-paced, adrenaline chasing, borderline madness, and
Yes.
then becoming a dad. How does that? How did that change your lifestyle, like, or your life in general?
Pretty crazy, but my kids are as crazy as I am, so it's okay. I can keep up with them. You're really good. Like it was life changing. Obviously, like when my daughter Olivia was born, it was the greatest day of my life, second only to when Octavia was born, and same and equal. I said this to my sister when Olivia was born. I looked at her and said, we need to be nicer to mum and dad, because that realization of how much work goes into a child and raising a baby was, it's quite like you say, going from adrenaline junkie to suddenly responsible dad is huge. It's a big step. So, yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, that must have been a full stop, handbrake, hard right turn moment for you. And
Uh,
then,
Not really. Like, I was 35 when I had Olivia, and then 40 when we had Octavia. And Anne and I had deliberately made the decision to wait. We weren't ready. We just simply weren't ready. We knew we weren't ready. We knew we had parts of our life that we still wanted to explore. We still wanted to travel. We still wanted to do all these cool, amazing things. And I'd finished in the snow for the season, come back to Perth. I remember I was supposed to be going to Niseko in Japan. Something happened with the visas. It fell through. As all ski instructors do, I went and got a shitty job somewhere doing something. And this particular shitty job was driller's assistant. And so I ended up in mining. The money was good. The money being good kept me there. 12 months in, it was kind of like, well, I'm here, but I want an exit strategy because I don't want to do this forever. I'm starting to put on weight. I'm not staying fit. Classic mining, WA, really bad for your mental state, being away from home. And I was doing, 2-in-1s, 3-in-1s, 4-in-1s. That's 4 weeks on, 1 week off. Like mentally, I was just destroyed. And I remember Anne came to pick me up from a swing at the drilling shed, and she goes, I've got a present for you. And she hands me this little paper bag, and I reach in and pull out a teddy bear. And I just, I just knew what it was. It was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. And so we made the decision then and there. That was it. It was like, okay, I'm getting out of mining. I've got 9 months. This is now the plan. And so every single night I would finish work at 5 or 6 p.m., depending if I was working away or in the yard, and I would just go for a run. It was like, it's time to get fit. And being ex-military and ex-ski and snowboard and all that shit that I've done, once I put my mind on it, that's it. That's what's happening. And so I do a 12-hour day at work, come home, go for a run, pissing with rain, 8 o'clock at night, dark as, and my motivation was, I'm not fucking doing this job forever. I'm going for a run. And, you'd be out running for 30, 40 minutes. You're absolutely fucked. You don't want to be there. You have to get up at 4 a.m. to go back to work. And it's like, I don't care. I'm not doing this job forever. I'm getting fit. And so I did that, and then applied for the fire service and got into what I would call a dream job. And yeah, the rest is history, really.
Incredible story, and that's why I wanted to add this conversation with you, because it's such a different avenue into business, and it's kind of always in line. It seems like it's inherently just ingrained in you to do the hard things and take pleasure from doing those hard things. It may not always come with a big reward attached to it, but I think that's part of business, right? We don't always get the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, to reference my Irish heritage, but we need to learn to enjoy that process, whether that's in suffering or whether it's in monotonous everyday, the burpees, as I call them, doing the burpees of business day in, day out. You just do it, right? I think it's ingrained in some of us. Some of us have to work harder at it. And with that, is there any parts of business that you find you need to overcome, or you need to work a little harder to try do it? It's not that spark or that ingrained just do it isn't there. Is there any elements of business that applies to you?
Yeah, definitely. So consistency beats perfection every day of the week. And this is going back to BJJ. When you first start BJJ, you're terrible, but you show up 2-3 times a week for 8 years, and suddenly you're not terrible. And it's this, and 8 years goes at the blink of an eye, right? Like you're like, holy shit, I used to be really bad at this. Now I'm really good at it. It's kind of the same thing. It's more about just showing up and doing, again, the hard yards consistently, just being there and just going, fuck it, I'm just going to start, and then doing it, compared to going, it has to be perfect. I have to get this 100% right. It's like, no, you just have to do it. And if you do enough reps, you will get to be the point where your work is closer to perfect, or at least, better.
Yep. Yeah. It's an incredible mindset to have. And I hope more business owners are listening to that can adopt even a certain element of that, is that, yeah, consistency always will beat perfection, but it always leads to that also. So take me through then. So station officer currently, day job, let's call it, even though I don't think you have a day job or a night job, it's just jobs. What does that look like? Your kind of day to day, like what is your your 9 to 5 schedule looking like? Like I can't even comprehend to figure out, 2 kids, still make time for your own fitness, your own health, avid Lego addict. I'm gonna go as far as that. You just showed me your Lego collection before we joined the call, and running 2 businesses. How?
Very good question. Sometimes I wonder that myself. So I like to tell stories as well, because people can relate to stories. I was actually having a chat with a friend of mine at Jiu-Jitsu, and it kind of raised the same point. I said something about this, and he said, "You just don't get it. You're a high achieving individual. Not everyone's like that." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like that doesn't make sense to me. It's just I just get shit done basically if I need to do it." And he had to sit me down and actually explain to me the fact that not everyone was like that, and it didn't click with me. So yeah, it was interesting. My calendar can look like a Jackson Pollock painting, and it has gotten better. I think I'm out of it now. Shane, my business coach from SAOR, basically said, listen, when you start the new business, it's going to be chaos. You are going to be back into that complete turmoil for the next 3 to 4 months. As long as you're aware of that, then, you have my blessing, go ahead. And I think I'm just on the tail end of that. So from Jackson Pollock, one end where there is a billion things to do in a day to some days when I just go, I'm doing nothing. And I do that deliberately so I can let my mind think. And, everyone needs a break as well. But let's start with the actual job. So the career. So we have a amazing roster in the fire service. We do a 24-hour shift. So we show up at 6 a.m. on a Monday and we finish at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. We then have 24 hours off. We then do another 24-hour shift, and we then have 5 days off. So that's really cool. That's very, very cool. In that 24-hour period, you do get to sleep, which is incredible. But I say sleep with a tangent of it's not sleep, it's rest. So lights are out at 10 p.m., lights are back on at 6 a.m. There are, of course, emergency calls during that time. You are always waiting for the dreaded crash alarm to go off and all the station alerts to go off. And depending on which vehicle you're on is to what response is happening. So standard day for me, I'm in charge of a team. I'll give you the breakdown because that way it's easier to understand. The station has 4 crews, A, B, C, D. Each crew mans a day. So because it's an 8-day roster, you rotate through. So this week I'll be Monday, Wednesday. Next week I'll be Tuesday, Thursday. Next week I'll be Wednesday, Friday, etc. That way everyone gets a fair hit at Christmas, holidays, school holidays, etc. Inside that team, you have a fire commander. The fire commander is in charge of the crew. The buck stops with them. They are the supervisor, the manager, the leader of that team. The fire commander then has 2 station officers, one of which I am. We are then in charge of a team on a truck. So I will have 1 truck as a minimum and potentially up to 3 or 4 other trucks with me that I'm in charge of. And I'll be instructing those firefighters to do whatever work it is that requires to be done. Generally, when we turn out to a response, there are different levels of responses, and depending on the response is how many vehicles go, and therefore how many firefighters and potentially other officers under my supervision. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. Sounds like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, basically it is. So, I mean, you imagine something like an A380, one of the largest commercial airliners on the planet, if not the largest, Category 10 aircraft, approximately 450 people, approximately 450,000 litres of fuel. If it so much as touches anything in the wrong direction, we've got a lot of responsibility for, a crew of approximately 13 to 15 firefighters and officers to help and rescue as many of those 450 people as we can, even if it's just making the conditions to allow them to get off safely. So, it's a very serious job. That said, firefighters, and I think this is because it's such a serious job, we're pretty relaxed kind of guys. Like, unless you see us running, it's pretty much okay. Everything's pretty much chill. We have a good time. We talk a bit of shit. We play the occasional practical joke. We have a lot of team bonding, things like cooking dinners together. We work out together. We all sleep in the same room, for heaven's sakes. So it's kind of, it's one of those environments where we look after each other a lot because we go to some really nasty, horrible shit that people shouldn't have to see, but someone has to. So standard day, we show up, we have a team brief. Once the team brief is finished, we just outline what we're doing for the day, training, anything which has happened in the station for the last sort of 5-6 days that we've been off, any changes to systems or equipment or trucks or whatever the case is. We'll talk during that brief. We'll then go out and do what we call the dailies. And on the dailies is we inspect everything. So our truck from the top to the bottom, all of our equipment gets touched, everything gets looked at and inspected and make sure that it's in working order and operational. We then go out and do a pump check. So we'll take the trucks out. We make sure that every single outlet on the truck works, the pump works, the monitors work, the lights work, everything works. We take this very seriously. Every single day this is done. From there, we roll into daily training. I'm one of the training officers, so I'll plan out the schedule of what training needs to be done for the week, the month, the quarter, the year, and we then go out and execute that training. From there, probably around lunchtime-ish, we kind of from then till about 2-ish, it's normally gym time. From 2 to 5, we have what's called recline time or downtime. It's because we're working a 24-hour shift. We just go and have a couple of hours to relax. People watch Foxtel. I sometimes go to the gym if I haven't done it already with the crew. People sit down, play on their phone, cook a meal, whatever the case is, whatever's good for you, just to chill out for a couple of hours. 5 o'clock, we have a night meeting. Again, another brief. Has anything changed? Do we need to know anything? Preparation for any nighttime training. And then probably about 7, 8 o'clock, it's tools down. And then about 10 o'clock, it's recline. So that means everyone goes to bed, lights go out, and then operational responses from then until 6 a.m. 6 a.m. comes back on, do a handover with the crew coming on, and adios, we're out of here for the day. Interestingly, being on an airport, we not only provide protection for all of the aircraft on the airport, so every movement that comes and goes, and that's 24 hours a day, but we also do all of the medical responses on the airport too. So if you're on the airport and you require an ambulance, we're coming. If you have a car crash around the airport, we're coming. If a fire alarm goes off, we're coming. If there's a structural fire, we're coming. If there's a bushfire, we're coming. There's a lot of bush that backs onto Perth Airport. Anything at all, which is an emergency with inside a kilometre of those fences, we're basically going because we can get there in, 2 minutes to 5 minutes, depending on where it is. And specifically for our aviation responses, we're federally mandated to be on scene, being effective with inside of 3 minutes. So 2 minutes is our goal. So we can be fast asleep in bed, crash alarm sounds. Let's just for a second imagine the absolute horribles happened and an airplane has crashed. We have to be on scene, having effect with a 90% knockdown within 2 minutes.
Wow. How does your brain deal with something like that? Like, how do you prepare, or again, like, how does that work in your mind to live with that level of
lot of training,
anxiety? But okay,
a lot of training,
so situational style training.
Yeah, the anxiety and the stress is very real. Like, as I said, I don't sleep well at work. A friend of mine wore one of those little Fitbit things on his arm one night, and it basically told him he hadn't slept the whole night. And as far as he was concerned, he had slept from 10 to 6. And it's like, you have zero sleep tonight. And that's what it is. That's the reality of it. It's like you always have one ear open. You always have one eye partly open, waiting for that alarm to go off. And God forbid the crash alarm go off, because as soon as it does, adrenaline goes through the roof. You literally spring out of bed as fast as you can and you get your ass on the truck. And then as soon as you have all 3 people on the truck is going. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so structured naturally. It makes sense that it's so structured and so
has to be. It's
regimented.
So structured. Yeah. So you have the fire commander. The fire commander has 2 station officers or 3 station officers, depending on the shift and manning for the day. Those station officers report directly to the fire commander, and then each station officer has X amount of firefighters under him. Now, we have what's called a span and control, and I really like this because it's an AIMS principle, and we use it. AIMS is the Australasian Interagency Management Agreement. It basically defines how emergency incidents should run. The span of control basically says you should be using between 3 and 5 for span of control. What that means is that I have 5 people maximum who report to me, and preferably 3. As soon as you get a 6th, I can't do my job effectively anymore, because now I'm thinking about 6 things instead of 5. 5 is borderline, 4 is preferred, and 3 is kind of optimal. And 2 is, what we roll on a truck. So it'd be myself, an operator, a driver, and potentially a branchie. That's 3. And then I might have another truck that will have 2 other people in it. And so there's your 5. And then the fire commander has 3 station officers report upwards to him. And so by holding this accountability of I will only ever have 3 to 5 people reporting to me, you don't lose control of the incident. And it's really important, because when we get to an aircraft, we do this thing called sectorization, which is basically we say, right, split it down the middle. You've got port side, starboard side, so left and right. And so, okay, Station Officer 1, you're in charge of the port side. Station Officer 2, you're in charge of the starboard side. Report change of conditions, et cetera, et cetera. And we know who we're reporting directly to. And then the firefighters know who they're reporting to. And so between an officer level, which is what I am, and a firefighter level, we have objective-based and task-based. So the fire commander will dictate the objectives that I need to achieve, that he's ticking off his incident action plan so that we can achieve the objective of the incident. And then I'm delegating tasks to my firefighters that help to achieve those objectives. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And do you know what's gone off in my head? And maybe it's the ingrained entrepreneur businessman in my head. And I was like, you know what? So many businesses and business owners could benefit from a system like that, because I think that's a
Exactly.
big part of business, is overwhelmed from too many voices, too many
Yep.
opinions, too many people. Like it makes complete sense in a, in a business setting also. And I guess it kind of does exist to some extent, but again, probably not to the same level of regiment, right?
No,
So
absolutely not. Like we have literally 50 standard operating procedures. We have these manuals called aviation firefighting manuals, and the manuals go into great depth how to do every single little thing that we need to do. And then the SOPs reference the manuals and say, for this type of incident, we would take these steps. And then as an officer, we have the ability just to go, I'm not doing any of that because I need to do this to make this job happen and get and achieve my objective to finalize the incident. So I have the ability to go outside of those SOPs, but because the standard response is normally the best response, and we have this thing called prior recognition learning, which is I've been to this 100 times, therefore I know what to do. That's where we reference the SOPs. And I think, honestly, this is probably why I've taken to business so well, because I've walked in and gone, this is a shit fight, and I can fix this because this is what I do for a living. And then I've just thrown all my knowledge of SOPs down and gone, right, we're structuring the absolute fuck out of this. And now that I have a structure in place, everything's amazing. Whereas before, not so good.
you know what? I'd love to play that on a loop for more business owners. And I will play that on a loop, and I will use that exact clip, and it will be sent to every business owner in our network, because the amount of business owners that start the other way around, right? It starts out of a passion. They become a very good coach. They build up their client base. They start making money. They open up a studio. All these things go incredibly well. All these things I did also, by the way, going to hold my hand up here. Process, procedures, standards, what? That was my attitude. Like, I know how to do all these things. Like, I'm making loads of money. I've got loads of clients. The business is running extremely well, but zero efficiency because I'm doing everything myself. Right. And I'd say out of the, a couple of business owners that I've worked with over the years, well, 100 plus, let's say, the majority of them start that way. You flipped the script completely, and you almost started the other way around. And as you said, and Shane references as well, that is why you are doing so well in business. And not only that, from speaking to you now, I think you enjoy, and excuse the pun here, you love putting out fires, right? Whether that's in your job, in your airport, so on and so forth, or in business. And my next question is like, what did lead to that decision of, I think I want to own a fitness business? So Studio One, and when did that happen? Or what was that decision? Because it seems like you're very happy in your job, and I don't know about your living, but you seem to make a good living off it, I'm sure. Was it a financial decision? Was it, I need to be pushed again? I need to go down a ski slope 100 miles an hour in a mountain, and this is my next best thing because, I won't kill myself doing it.
Yeah. No, completely great question, and completely selfish response here. I wanted to give my kids and my kids' kids the life that I didn't have. So I wanted to sort out my family and my future generations so that they never need anything. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't born with like a silver spoon in my mouth or anything, but I had a good upbringing. Like, my parents gave me everything that I needed. Not to say that they didn't, but I want my kids to not do what I did, which is work for 30 years. I've always worked for someone else. I don't want to do it. I'm better than that. I can be better than that. I want my kids to have that. I want them to have the knowledge and the skill set, and I want them to basically be sorted for life. And I want their kids to be sorted for life. And I want to build generational wealth that will look after my family for life. And so very selfish here is that that's what I wanted to do. That was my goal, and it still is my goal. And how we came about the decision, again, story time. My wife and I bought a house in the snow back when we were in the snow. And the house it was a part of an apartment complex, had some issues with it, wasn't built to Australian building codes. We ended up in a really, really long legal battle. It went for 12 years. That crippled us absolutely, completely. And again, so thankful for the fire service, because if it wasn't for the fire service, we would never have afforded to survive through it. And we would have lost basically on commerce and economy. But we did survive. And between ourselves and the other owners, we successfully sued this builder. And finally, after 12 years, got paid out a percentage of what the property was worth. Now, because we had this job as a firefighter, I was still, when we got paid out, we were able to invest that money. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough money to buy a business. And it was something I'd always wanted to do, because I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to build a business. I always wanted to not be, stuck in a job working for someone else, basically. And I always had this dream of looking after my family and my kids and my future generations. So it was just we're finally through the trenches, the horrible nastiness of being broke for 12 years straight. Let's invest this money. Let's buy an asset that we can actually get and leverage, and start sorting out the long-term plan. And so that's how it came about. And like I said before, I touched on, it had to be something that I was passionate about, had to be something I believed in, had to be something I actually wanted to do. It couldn't just be serving burgers, because I'm not interested.
That's what an incredible, driving factor. I can see now why you don't really struggle to get out of bed most mornings, be it because you love your job or because you're trying to create generational wealth. That's incredible. And was there any steep learning curve, or again, did you just tackle it like you would, when the fire alarm goes off or something like that? Is it an instantaneous, like, okay, I'm in this now, I know what to do and where to go, and I know how to fix this business? Or was there a lot of learning?
God, no. I fucked everything up. Yeah, no, I completely went in totally clueless with no fucking idea. As they say, you either pay with money or time, and I did both. I hemorrhaged money for the first, I'm going to hesitate to say, 12 months-ish, roughly. Hemorrhaged money out of my first business, to the point where I could see the writing on the wall. I had about 3 months of runway left. And at the end of that runway, that was it. The business was gone. I would have lost the house, because it was all tied in, of course, because you put guarantees on everything. And that was it. It was literally, I could see the writing on the wall. And I remember very specifically, I was in the car and was driving. I was sitting there, my phone beeped. I picked it up. I had an email from the franchise. The franchise was giving away as a prize one of 3 memberships to business coaching, SAOR. And I remember it was a competition. It was first to respond gets in. And I was just like, bang, instant response. I need this. Oh my God, help me. And I remember pushing the send button, dialing the number, calling the brand manager, who's the local brand manager. He's in WA, really nice guy. I'll use his name. I was like, Scott, I need this. Like, I have to have this. I've got 3 months and then it's over. I must do this. Like, I will put in absolutely everything, but I need it. And he was like, mate, your name's on the top of the list. And I was like, fuck for that. And then I hung up, and I took a few seconds, and then I called the franchise owner, and I had the same conversation with him. It was, I need this. I will make it work. I don't care what I have to do, but I need this. And he was really nice. He was just like, yep, your name's at the top of the list. And sure enough, they awarded it to myself and a couple of others. And I met Shane, which completely changed both my business and my life, which is amazing. Shout out to Shane. You're fucking incredible. And I remember my conversation very clearly with Shane, the very first conversation, and it went something along the lines of, you have to understand nobody's coming to save you. And I said, yep, I completely acknowledge that. Just wind me up and point me in the right direction. That's all I need. I'll do the rest. Just wind me up, point me in the right direction, and I'll work my ass off. And sure enough, that's what happened. Sorry, I'm a little bit emotional because it's kind of a big deal. So
Yeah, of course, to come with that level of pressure, and it's incredible that someone that deals with like saving people's lives, that's literally what you do, and that's the situations that you're in on a daily basis, to be then crippled by business. Like,
yeah,
isn't that
yeah,
incredible, right?
it's polarizing, right? Like it's really, yeah, it's strange. It's very
Yeah.
strange.
But also, I think it speaks true to who you are as a person, that you knew you needed help. And I think that's something that people need to recognize, be it in everyday life with mental health and also in business, because we do need help. Like, we all need coaches, we all need someone in our corner to give us either a kick in the bum or to give us a pat in the back. And I think that's what we
Absolutely,
do here. Like, that's our
absolutely.
goal at SAOR, and it's incredible that you're able to turn it around and absolutely like speak volumes for Shane as a person and both as a business mentor and coach as well. Incredible.
Yeah, I
That's
am
heavy.
honestly amazed, not just by my own actions, but through other people. Like, take any sporting person anywhere on the planet, they have a coach. Little League has a coach. Like, you don't have to go alone. Get someone who knows what they're talking about, and it doesn't have to be SAOR, it doesn't have to be Shane, but just someone who's done it, and then shut the fuck up, listen to them, drop the hubris, and go, okay, I'm going to do what he says or she says, and then just do it. That's all there is to it. Like, find someone who's done something you've done, who is better than you, and copy them. It's that simple. It's a lot of work, but that's literally all there is to it. Get a coach, listen to the coach, be coachable.
Take us through some of that work as well, Adam. Like, what were the major things that you started working on immediately? What were the immediate fires you needed to put out? I'm going to stay using that.
I like that. It's good. So I'm a big Alex Hormozy fanboy, and so I use a lot of his referencing and training and teaching as well to supplement and help with my training, and to go along with the sales stuff. And he basically says there's two things that every business owner needs to work on. There's only ever two problems. It's either supply or demand. That's it. You've either got a supply problem or you've got a demand problem. It's one of the two. It's only ever one of the two. It can't be anything else. Now, inside of one of those two, there's always other things, right? There's always a list of fires to go through. And so our biggest problem was sales. So we sucked at selling. Like, we sucked at selling. Our conversion was about 8 to 11%. And we were running anywhere up to, say, 80 to 90 intros a month.
Wow.
So we
Yeah, that
sucked
sucks.
at sales.
Yeah.
Like, now,
Yeah.
in true having no idea what we're doing, and devaluing our own product, and not, me not knowing how to run a business, because I didn't, despite, potentially thinking that I had some idea. You don't know what you don't know, right? We have since, through obviously training through Shane, etc., gotten a lot better at sales, reduced that 80 a month down to sort of 20 to 30 a month. And now we convert well and truly over 30% every month, if not 40 or 50% every month. So less work, better conversion. And now we also don't give it away for free. So it used to be we did these intro sessions for free, and now we charge for them. So again, referencing Hormozi, the money model is really important. And that's something that I've done on both Studio One and Studio Two in particular, is I've walked in and looked at it and just gone, yeah, this doesn't work. I played this game before. And that's why I jumped at the opportunity of Studio Two, because I looked at it and went, I've done this. I know how to fix this. I know exactly how to fix this. I've done it. And that's why I went into it, just went, yeah, I can do this. In fact, I could do this inside of 3 months, piece of piss. And so I did. But sales was the biggest problem, like without a doubt, sales. And then from there, fixing the money model, fixing processes, implementing standards, and what I'm willing to accept and what I'm not. And once you put all these things in line, shit just starts to work.
That's such a different mindset there, isn't it? It's like I've gone through utter turmoil with Studio One, nearly lost my house, like gone to that depths of absolute just nothing. Like it could all go, to then saying, you know what, Studio Two, fucking bring it on.
Yeah,
I got this.
that was
I know how to
literally
tackle it.
And ironically, I had this conversation with Shane, and it was like, not only was it I know how to tackle it, I went shopping for it. I deliberately looked for a failing studio, but it was a failing studio that had to meet certain criteria. So I went into it thinking, I know exactly how to solve this problem. Therefore, I'm going to look for this exact problem. And I did, and I found it. And I found a whole bunch of them, as you do. But then I narrowed it down to the one which I was like, this is going to be the most return for the work with the easiest solves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sure enough, inside of a month, we had broken, in our first month, we had broken the highest revenue the studio had ever done. So a new PB. In the second month, we broke our own PB for another PB. In the third month, my advertising turned off for 30% of the month because I lost track of budgets. And we still beat the first initial PB. And then this month, we're going to beat all of our PBs, and we've done, more profit than what the studio's ever seen. So it was, it was specifically shopping for what I wanted and realizing that I had no stress, like I didn't have to buy it. Like until I got exactly what I wanted, including the price. And with Shane's help, I was absolutely, horrible in the negotiations. Good for me, not so great for them. It was just like, well, this is what I'm offering. And they're like, but we don't want that. I'm like, no, I acknowledge that. Speak to you next month. And negotiations went for 9.5 months. Hey, how's the studio going? Yeah, cool, no worries. This is what I'm offering. Nope, speak to you next month. And that went on for 9.5 months. And eventually it came to the phone conversation that was, I'm just going to talk to my wife. I'll give you a call back. Yeah, okay, we'll take it. Because I've been there.
How did that feel?
It was good. Like I don't get me wrong. I'm not happy about. I gave them. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I gave them what the studio was worth, and what they wanted was a way out, and that's what they got. I wasn't trying to fuck anyone over. I don't want to come across like that. The studio was worth X. They got X. They got out, which is what they ultimately wanted, and they wanted someone who could make the studio work, get in, and that's exactly what we organised and came to an agreement on price at the end of the day. So I'll be very clear about that. I'm not into fucking people over because I've spent my entire life not doing that. So
that was, okay, it's all systems go now again. And as coming from someone who had one studio and contemplated two, I would be lying if I didn't, but it's never a step I was willing to take. I just was like, I'll stick with this. I'll make as much money and make this as successful as possible and help as many people as possible as I can. And we did that from 90 square meter studio. It was incredible. 8 years of my life. Loved every minute of it. Carefully say that, yourself. There's days where you seriously question, why am I doing this? Why am I waking up again at 4 a.m. and driving into the gym and taking clients when one of our coaches said he's sick and he can't? So there's days like that. But for the most part, looking back in the 8 years, it was incredible. But one area that I struggled to comprehend when I was making that decision, do I go Studio 2, was how do I split my time? Because I can't split myself. And I think that's a serious concern for most business owners when they go from a single site to a multi-site. And by the sounds of you, you're going to be multi-site, right? Further down the line. How do you manage that now between site one and site two?
Um, to loop back around to the conversation before, span of control. So I have two managers who are incredibly good, and I dare say without any hesitation, better than I am, who are in charge of running my businesses. And I think that's one of the key secrets, is to have people who are better than you, employ them, pay them appropriately, and leverage them. So both of my managers are on very large retainers for their positions and for the industry standard. They're well above standard. And then I profit share. So they're motivated to drive the business. They're motivated to have a better profit line because they get 10% of the cut at the end of the month. So how do I split my time? Which fire needs to be put out, basically. Like I said, I look at it in two ways. There's either a supply or a demand problem, and then I fix that problem. So, Studio One had a huge supply issue for the best part of the last 9 months, which I have now fixed, but it took me, 9 months to fix that issue. And now demand is now the issue again. And then with Studio Two, again, supply was the issue, but I identified it really quickly because I'd already identified it in the other business. And so when I walked in, I looked at it and went, this is the issue. I can fix this. And, from there, it was just a matter of implementation, which is, hey, we need to do this. We're doing this. This is how it's happening. Make it happen. And then away it goes. So because I'm just coming out of the chaos of Studio 2 now, I'm still doing quite a bit of time on Studio 2. That said, Studio 1 has a lot of systems in place. It doesn't need my input. It needs my input on a $500,000 question, not on a $30,000 question, not on a member question. I don't have to be there for every single thing every single day and say, hey, I need to change the roster for this reason. Yeah, cool, no worries. It's in the budget, go. Hey, I want to do this advertising or whatever the case is. Yeah, cool, we can do that, no problems. But the everyday nitty gritty of a studio, I leave that to people better than I am at doing it, because that's the only way you can be multi-site. If you think, or if you're in the mindset of, I still make all the sales, I still take all the calls, I still do all the bookings, you will never do multi-site. Not well anyway, you'll do it, but you will spear yourself into the ground in one of the two sites. That's the outcome. You have to delegate and hand over the reins to someone, and preferably someone better than you, and have faith and know that they're going to do a great job, and then reward them for doing a great job. Incentivize and motivate them to build it as their own studio. I'm just the financial backer, so to speak.
Well, and you're the leadership, and I think, like I said, your role and your life experience plays into that perfectly and makes you an incredible leader. And once you acquire the skills necessary in business, you are now a well accomplished business owner, right? An entrepreneur. And that's something that sometimes can be, when you say it to yourself, I don't know, maybe you're different. When I say it to myself, I'm like, oh, I don't know. It feels strange to say that, but
don't say
I
it.
have built.
For that exact reason. I'm just like, I'm just some guy who makes shit up all day. Like, I've got no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun for me. Exactly. But I think that's also a great way to look at business, because you can look at business in one or two ways. You can have fun and you can make it what you want it to be. Because I think ultimately that's why a lot of us get into business. It's like, we want the reins, right? We want to be able to, it's not a control thing. It's just like, if I want to do something within my business, it's going to be fun and I'm going to make it enjoyable. And I wish more business owners held on to that, because you kind of went one or two ways. You could have gone down the route of, I'm closing everything, I'm quitting, I'm giving all this up. But would you have to look back on that, do you think, as a failure or as a learning?
I would have been failure, 100%. 100%. Now, don't get me wrong. I have said to Anne that it doesn't matter if we fail, because it will be a learning. And I fuck things up all the time. Everyone does. That's how we learn. Like Jiu-Jitsu, you make mistakes every single day, all day long. I've been training for 8 years. So for 8 years, I've been making mistakes, and I still make mistakes. And the amount of mistakes you make are just less and less and less each time. So as a white belt, you make mistakes continually, which is why you get submitted 13 times in a round. And I remember I walked into Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm this big, tough firefighter, 90, 95 kilos, strong, young. This guy's half my size, no problems. Let's go, have a roll. I legitimately was submitted 13 times in 5 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's 50 kilos wet. Like, this is what? Teach me, please. And now I'm the hammer 8 years later. Now I make mistakes still, of course, but less mistakes. And my mistakes only really are pointed out by belts higher than me. So I'm currently a brown belt. The black belts still make me suffer when I make mistakes. But yeah, it's that interesting recognition that in business, you're gonna fuck things up. You're gonna make lots and lots of mistakes, but we learn from our mistakes, and hopefully we make less and less mistakes as we go. And like I said, money or time, it's one or probably both for most people. Definitely was for me.
What is your biggest learning curve over the past 18 months? If there's one standout headline, what would it be?
Definitely supply demand. 100%. That Alex Hormozi quote of you only ever have one of two problems as a business owner, supply or demand. That is my ultimate learning. Because once you understand that, and it's funny because you say, oh, business is all about supply and demand. And people go, oh, yeah, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I understand that. It's like, no, you don't. You just don't fucking comprehend it until you're standing in it and it's actually surrounding you and you're not making any money because of it. Or worse, you're paying the money out of your own bank account because your business isn't making any money and your house is on the line because you don't fucking understand that concept. And then you learn what that concept means and you go, and there's that penny drop moment. It's like, oh, fuck, right. Yeah, I can't do that because of this. Need to make more sales. Yeah, cool, but I can't fit anyone else into my schedule because I don't have enough staff. Therefore, I can't sell into it. Therefore, I can't grow. And as I said before, there are smaller problems down the line that are the actual problems that need to be solved, but you have to identify which one it is. It's only ever one of two. And then you go, right, so supply is my issue. What is the actual issue here? Is it that I'm not giving my staff enough time on the schedule? Or is it that I don't have enough staff? Or is it they haven't got the training? Or is it that the uni students and their roster changes every 3 months and therefore I can't meet? And so you then have to delve into the one actual problem that is the restraint on your business and then solve that one problem and then solve it like a madman. So one of the things I say to my managers is there are two types of tasks we do in business. One of them is sweeping the floors and the other is an activity which actually generates revenue. Sure, we need the floors swept. You'll go in, you'll tidy up. You'll be like, oh, I don't really feel like calling anyone today. I'm just going to do this or do that. Or I'll just, restock the shelves and make everything look pretty and clean this bench for the 400th time. Pick up the fucking phone and make some phone calls because that generates revenue. Sweeping the floors doesn't. Yeah, great. You look shiny and clean and appearances are great and they matter for your members when they come in, but delegate that shit. Go and pick up the phone. That's the important thing. Pick whatever the constraint is on your business, the actual constraint, not the I want to feel good and I'm going to do this thing which is not so hard. The hardest thing is going to be the constraint, and then just go at it like a fucking bull until it's done. And you'll know when it's done. You'll know. You'll understand.
Yeah, you'll feel it. You'll feel it
you'll
before
feel it. You'll
you
know.
see it probably even.
Yeah, and you'll get results. You'll see the results. You'll be like, holy fuck, I made 30 phone calls today and I sold 2 memberships. Holy shit. And then just do it again tomorrow and do it again tomorrow and do it again tomorrow and then keep doing it until you're at the point where you pay someone else to do it or whatever the constraint is,
It blows my mind with people, particularly in the fitness industry as well. It's like I was a professional bodybuilder for 3 or 4 years from the age of about 18. And what always, I can't remember who said it to me, but someone said it to me at the time, could have been my mom. My mom's in business for 40 plus years at this stage as well. And she was like, it blows my mind how you can go in and do 300 or 400 reps in the gym, 3, 4, 5 hours a day. But yet when it comes to you sending an email to your client to try not get them to cancel, you procrastinate about it for 3 days.
Yeah.
I was like, shit. It was my mom actually, because I remember saying to me, I was like, yeah, fuck you, mom. All right. Okay. All right. Call me out on my bullshit. But yeah, completely true. Like I got better at doing the things that I didn't like doing or that I was really bad at doing. And I think that's a key skill that you clearly have demonstrated, and something that you're handing over to your team as well, which I think is crucial. And look, if there's kind of one piece of advice, and again, it probably comes of supply and demand, but maybe if there's a business owner right now that is listening, right, that was in your position where you were, you know, uh, on the floor pretty much, ready to throw in the towel, what should they do?
That's it. A coach will tell you what to do. Go and pay someone to tell you what to do. Go and hang around people who are more successful than you. Get them to coach you. Find someone who'll tell you what it is that you're not doing, what you can't see, because you don't know what you don't know, right? You're sitting there thinking that polishing the floors and playing with the stock and making it look pretty and doing the next Facebook post is going to drive revenue in, but it's not. What's going to drive revenue is doing the revenue activities, the revenue generating activities. And a coach will tell you to go and do those things. They'll point you in the right direction, or at least set you up to train you how to do those things. And then just do it. Like, it sucks. You won't like it. It's hard. Welcome to business. It's the shit we don't want to do that no one wants to do. That's why it's so rewarding when you do it. You want to be good at business? Embrace the suck, because most businesses fail because the owners aren't good at doing the hard things, or don't want to do the hard things, probably more to the point, because anyone can be good at anything. I truthfully believe that. They don't want to do it, therefore they don't, therefore the business fails, therefore the ownership fails. Get a coach, listen to what they say, be coachable, do the hard things. Do the hard things every day. Even if you shit at it. Same thing. Repetition, not perfection. Just consistency. Show up, do the things that suck, you'll get better at it.
And what a better note to finish on. Adam, this has been a wonderful conversation, and I hope to have many more conversations with you in the future. You're incredibly interesting, and thank you for sharing your story, and also for being so open about sharing your story. I know I appreciate it, and I know the listeners will appreciate it. All of your links to your studios and everything else will be below. Please go support Adam and his incredible businesses, and I wish you incredible, incredible success for many, many years ahead, Adam.
Thank you, Dar. This was an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.